It was just after midnight when I heard the relentless banging. Not a knock, banging, like someone trying to break in. I jolted awake, grabbed my robe, and headed for the front door of my ranch-style home, which sat peacefully atop 800 acres of land I inherited from my grandfather. Opening the door, I was greeted by none other than Karen, the most entitled member of the local HOA, standing on my porch with her arms crossed and phone in hand. "You have to move those floodlights. They're violating HOA brightness standards," she yelled. I blinked, still half asleep. "Karen, it's midnight, and I don't live in your HOA." Karen scoffed. "Everything in this neighborhood falls under our jurisdiction, and I'll call the cops if I have to." I couldn't help but chuckle. "You do that." And she did. 10 minutes later, two county deputies pulled up in a squad car, clearly annoyed they were called out this late. Karen rushed to them, waving her phone and ranting about light pollution and property line violations. One of the deputies looked over at me and raised a brow. "Mr. Carson?" I nodded. "Evening, boys." See, what Karen didn't know was that I wasn't just some guy living at the edge of her tidy little HOA neighborhood. I was James Carson, the guy who inherited this land, the mineral rights beneath it, and the surrounding lots before most of the HOA homes even existed. I was also the largest single landowner in the entire county, with a seat on the planning board and long-standing ties with law enforcement and the mayor. The deputy turned back to Karen, deadpan. "Ma'am, this property isn't part of your HOA. In fact, Mr. Carson owns the entire unincorporated section you're standing in, including that paved road you drove in on." Karen's jaw dropped. But he must follow community rules," she stammered. "No, ma'am," the other deputy said, barely hiding his grin. "He writes them." Karen stormed off, red-faced and defeated. Mumbling something about calling the county, I waved cheerfully and called out, "Tell him I said hi." The next morning, I mailed a formal notice revoking HOA access to the private walking trail that ran through my land, a courtesy my grandfather had allowed for years. Karen learned two things that night: never bang on a land baron's door after midnight, and always check the county plat map before calling 911.